Hey everybody, welcome to Forge the Narrative. My name is Paul Murphy, your host. If you like what you see, please like, share, subscribe, comment, especially if you have any comments about what we're going to do. And today we're going to unbox Warhammer Underworlds Beastgrave. Check this out. I've already taken the plastic off and I really apologize for that. I know some folks like to see the plastic come off, but I couldn't wait to get my hands on some of this stuff and check out the miniatures. I'm a big mini guy. First thing you can see on the cover here, we got some a big piece of artwork of the Grashrax Despoilers, and you can see some Skaze Wild Hunt here. This like the obviously some reinventions of the Beastmen stuff from the old world, carried over into Age of Sigmar, and the same with the Wanderers, the former Wood Elves from that world. If see how they've come about. Looks like we got one with a centaur body and some beasts, real woodland theme, and of course the savagery of the Beastmen here. Warhammer Underworlds Beastgrave. Let's check it out. There's the front, like we just talked about, and on the back, see if I can get a tight shot of the painted miniatures. These are push fit miniatures. You don't need any glue to assemble them. I think though, if you are going to take them off the sprue, do them yourself, I think you really definitely want to use clippers at least. There's some delicate parts on these you can see with the spear, and we'll check them out when we actually get to the sprues itself. And if you do use glue on the push fit miniatures, know that peg takes up a little bit of the space, and so if you really want a tight seal so you don't see the the inorganic mold lines, seam lines, that you don't put too much glue in there. And then here we got this notification there that it is 2 players. It takes about 30 minutes to play, ages 12 plus, and then the push fit miniatures, and give you an idea what you get in the box. So hey, let's take a look. So here we go. Immediately you can see some counters and tokens and stuff. I took the plastic off this. Y'all forgive me. The plastic will be on everything in the next one. But you'll see here the tokens, real smooth finish and feel to them. I like this kind of a matte finish. Gives it a real professional and sleek look, if you ask me. These boards, they're double-sided. So we've got what looks like some of the Despoilers artwork on one side, and then we've got some of the Wild Hunt on the other side. You can see these boards are marked to where there's where you place your starting figures and objectives, and then there's going to be some things noted for impassable and stuff like that. Part of the way the game works is that you build the map with your opponent. One of the two tiles in some placement. So there's flexibility there. It adds into the variations of play. Here is the quick start guide. Learn to play here. Get some examples of the miniatures themselves. Tells you a little bit about the dice and what the card does. So this is a deck building game to where you can customize your experience if you'd like. Of course, you're going to find some sweet combos that you just like doing and have fun. And as I understand it, with this edition of the game, some of the older cards are rotating out, so you're going to see some new things coming about. One of the things brought about by this. So here's the instructions on how to put together the miniatures. And as you can see, I was mentioning the kind of the delicate pieces. Now, I mean, in normal play, I don't think you're gonna run into any issues. But pulling this off the sprue, and we'll take a look at that in a second. I think you probably want clippers or kind of a sharp knife. So be careful out there if you're using the knife. But these figures, push fit. Really interesting what they're doing with technology and figures these days. Here's the main rule book. Everything you need to know and more, I'm sure. Of course, a lot more robust than the quick start guide. And what you'll notice on the cards, it's going to go over each, but there's symbols that equate to the dice and stuff, especially dice. We'll take a look at it in a second. This was a little bit of a teaser, a little bit of literature on what you can expect from the Age of Sigmar, which is the large-scale battle game with miniatures just like this. So if you like this genre and you want to expand your collection past this, or maybe a different play experience, then check out Age of Sigmar. So here, our first look at the miniatures themselves on the sprue. So this is what I'm talking about. Right here, you'll see this horn and staff, and then spear and swords. I mean, the stuff looks vicious and deadly, but where it connects to the sprue, if you're not careful with how you remove it, you might have trouble with some of these kind of thinner connection points to where the sprue is. I want to point out here also that the bases on these guys are absolutely lovely. A lot of detail, a lot of inherent texture and depth to these bases. And a very wise miniature painter told me one time that faces and bases are kind of the key to miniatures looking the best. So if you can get the faces and bases done, you're about 40% to having, you know, an amazing looking miniature. The 40% is my judgment, but they're going to look good from 3 or 4 feet away, which is what you want with miniatures sometimes. Here, you'll see the same thing with the Grashrax despoilers. Again, excellent base detail here. Some of the parts here with the spears and bows and whatnot, I would be very careful with removing these. Again, things that I don't think are going to really trouble you when you're playing or once the figure's together, but when you're pulling that off the sprue, it's probably worth taking that little extra care. These guys look like they would dry brush up great. These you can see the colored sprues here. I was a little on the fence when the colored sprues came out. I think they were, one of the starter sets. I don't know. I guess I thought gray might have been the only way for sprues, and now I think I've come around to it. I think that what these colored sprues do is give you. If you're not going to paint them, that is, and not everyone has to, it's not, the enjoyment that everyone gets out of the hobby, is that if you don't paint them, they give you more of that board game aesthetic. So, casual passerbys, or if you're, heck, you're playing a literal beer and pretzels game, that you can casually observe the board and know, the game state and know whose pieces are whose. And so it does, give that variation if you don't want to paint them. If you do want to paint them, of course, it really doesn't even matter what the color plastic is. And I think these scream for paint. These are beautiful figures, and I think we'll see rules for them in Sigmar and the other games in that Age of Sigmar world. What's really neat, though, is that these warbands are self-contained, so you don't need any additional figures. So if you get one of these warbands, that's all you need. You'll be able to have a playable force forever with this game, which is neat. It also doesn't take up a lot of storage space. You don't have to have those concerns about where you put them. I think they'll fit right here in this box if you wanted them to, or they wouldn't take up a lot of space on your shelves, your back seats or whatever. Here we got the cards. The cards are things that you build. It's a slight deck building game. So in here you'll have, every character, the miniatures will have their own stat cards, which also you'll have objectives and surprises and things you can draw from your deck that will influence the game. 3 packs of these different cards in each one. Part of it being a deck building game is there is a little bit of a chase element to some of these, where you may want a duplicate or one from another set, and that's when you'll have to go and get those cards from another pack. But other than that, your warband here is really self-contained. I love specialty dice. You'll see that on these specialty dice, they have different symbols. It's not really a D6. There's not an even number of some of the designs on each die, and what these designs represent is a little bit of a difficulty rating to do certain effects or to achieve certain things during the game. So the type of the symbols on the dice really matter. Some things are easier to pull off because of the dice. And again, I really love specialty dice, and these have some nice look to them. I like the colors. Symbols are pretty cool. Dig it. Here are some bags. Once you take everything out of the factory sealed stuff here, you're going to want ways to keep up with it. So it's really nice that they included these additional bags. I don't think you're cramming your miniatures in here, but you can definitely keep up with your deck and your dice and your stat cards in there. That's it. That's Beastgrave. I like it mostly because I think I'm a big Wanderer fan. I played Wood Elves back in the day, and I really love the aesthetic of these miniatures, and I think they've got a really neat woodland feel to them. And then having this paired up nicely, with kind of the sleek, deadly look of those guys paired up against the savagery and kind of brutality of the Grashak Despoiler guys. This, I'm looking forward to putting it together. I think it's going to go together pretty quickly and easily. A little bit about gameplay. I mentioned that it takes, at least it says in the box here that it takes 30 minutes. I think once you get going, it takes a little bit less than that. I think playing games take anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes once you have a good grasp on your cards, good grasp on what your figures do, and then a little bit of how to feel comfortable moving the figures around. For a lot of us, if say we dedicate one night to gaming, we've got 4 hours, 5 hours at the most, maybe even 2 or 3, where, we play a best of one game like a Warhammer 40K or Sigmar or something like that, or even, a more complex board game. This allows you to have more than just that best of one experience, where what we've done on our gaming nights with Warhammer Underworlds is we've spent, we played 5 different hands over the course of what would be our normal gaming allotment of time, 5 different games, and it gets a little bit different of an experience. Or if you just have 20 or 30 minutes, you can sit down and bang on a game, maybe continue a series or a league with a buddy. Just wanted to share what my personal experience with the game was, in that it's very fast paced. The game has a beautiful dynamic to it that has the cards, the dice, and the figures, and neat art too that all factors in. But we see a lot of board games now moving towards figures, and one of the neat things is this game's already been there with the figures, and it gets you you get to scratch all the itches and have those senses all combined. Thanks a lot for watching. Please let me know what you think about the game, what you think about Underworlds in general. If you play it, if you've done well, this is actually one of the ones that they do tournaments with. So there is a grand clashes that are sometimes companion events to larger tournaments, miniature-based tournaments. So if you're interested in doing that, I highly encourage you to get out. There's always a real nice crowd there. But again, let me know what your experience with Warhammer Underworlds is, and if you're looking forward to the new warbands and this set. Thanks a lot for watching.